What's up, everyone? It's the girl who is in fact Dad-SP, and there's a reason why I am not holding the camera this week is because I need to use my hands for things in this video. And oddly enough, speaking of using my hands, that's an appropriate topic for the things that I'm going to talk about for this video, which is fidgets. What are fidgets? How do they work? Why are they useful? I'll be answering some of those questions in this and showing you a few of mine, which you may have actually seen a little bit of them in a previous video because I showed them in a vlog, and I got them kind of because of a show, and also because I wanted to test some stuff out and see what one specifically might work for me. For me personally, I would use fidgets because it's either a healthier way of stimming other than flapping my hands all over the place, and it's a more socially acceptable manner. It's sometimes for when I have a harder time sitting still because I'm riled up or energized about something or just really hyper about something, and it stops me from like picking at myself, scratching, itching, things like that, because I'm just somebody that every now and then I need something to do with my hands for not harmful reasons, or I guess I don't know exactly how to explain it except that I don't want to hurt myself, I don't want to be all over the place, and sometimes I just need to sit down and focus, or I get bored. Not that if I don't do that I get bored, it's just that I get bored, and this helps me stave off some of the boredom. Oddly enough, there are some times where if I have one of these things in my hand while I'm doing another thing, it helps me stay focused on the thing that I need to be doing, instead of getting distracted by all of everything else. For me, it's also great when I'm in places that have a lot of sensory input that my brain is deciding to take in, and it kind of centers me a little bit more, keeps me more grounded, and less likely to get overwhelmed, so that my attention can go there, or it kind of takes some of the energy for me to release it, or whatever, and things like that. Some of the things I have are a little bit more discreet, and that I can easily hide in the palms of my hands. Some of them are not so discreet, and some of them it's clearly like some sort of toy, and it's exciting, and I can understand, especially being around kids, I would rather not have them with me because the kids will want to play with them and they are going to get everywhere or get lost. I've also noticed some of these like in schools a lot more in the places that I've been working, because like spinners, for example, and the cubes have become a little bit more mainstream, which is nice and all, as long as the kids who don't need them don't ruin it for anybody who actually does need it. And fidgets aren't just for anybody that's on the autism spectrum. They can be useful for anybody with anxiety, ADHD, OCD, any body-focused repetitive behaviors like hair pulling, skin picking, things like that. And sometimes they make a good tool in the office just to not get bored or give you something to spice up your work desk a little bit, just 'cause. And some fidgets are going to work really well for some people, some are not going to work as well for some people. None of the ones I have are meant to be chew toys. That's one thing I'm personally looking into, only because one thing I do when I get anxious or nervous or just something, I chew on the sides of my tongue a little bit, or I rub my teeth against it, and to the point where my dentists previously have noticed it, and it's a habit that some people have, and it's fine. I would like to not do that if possible, but I also like taking the chewer, like I chew on the coffee stirrers sometimes because the oral fixation's kind of nice. So that's something I've been thinking about lately, but I'm not 100% sure if I'm gonna go for that. I don't chew on many things, but sometimes, like the coffee stirrers, I'll take one of those, and sometimes if I'm waiting at like a Starbucks, I'll take one of the little pluggy things you put in the cup, and I'll just like put it in my mouth and kind of like fiddle with it in there. Just to, I don't know, it's a little bit of the oral fixation, and also to hold on to it and have something there to, I don't know exactly why, I just like doing it. Especially when I get it through the hole and like in between these teeth right here, because this tooth is higher, And I don't know, there's just something about that, or putting straws through there, that's very satisfying to me. I have no idea why, it just is. So the story is that when I was doing Behind Glass Walls, the character I was playing has ADHD and is attempting to get medication for it because of trial and error, having so many things not work for her. She's running out of options, and in the scene I bring in like a bunch of fidget toys because like that's what the therapist recommended, and she forgot that he had sent her a link, and she was like, alright, well I found some anyway, so let's try this stuff out. And yeah, I decided, well, I was playing with some of them backstage, and I was like, this actually might be beneficial to me, so I decided to find a kit of fidgets, and I figured if I got a pack of them, I could test out different ones, and then whatever ones don't really work for me, I can give to a friend or somebody else who might find them more useful than me, and things like that. So that's the story of how I got them, but what came with this pack of 21 fidgets? Actually, before I do that, maybe I should go to the ones that I have that are not part of that pack. So the first thing I got was this fidget spinner, and I personally like the design on it. I like this one because it looks like paint everywhere, and it kind of matches my tattoo, and I love it. Also, there is a cool thing I can do where it lights up, and it's not right now because the battery's not charged, but it lights up, it has light patterns, it's super cool, and it charges like with a little USB thing. It's neat. And also for like if I do this at night and I accidentally drop it and the light's on, I can find it, which is good. I also got myself this cube from Ansi Labs. It's a little wiggly thing. I like playing with this mostly. What I like to do personally is I hold it in my hand kind of like this, because I like that my finger is in this section and I have my thumb on the rolly ball, and I can do this, and I can also like turn it, touch this, and then sometimes what I'll do, especially if it needs to be quieter, I'll put 2 fingers on this part to do this quietly. I do that because sometimes the clicking drives someone nuts, and I'd rather be respectful of that. And also, if I'm in a quieter setting, why would you want to be hearing this all the time? And then I like this part too, because you can swirl it. It's neat. I like all the different options, and I like all the different choices, and this feels nice. It's a nice little grip. I like it. Another thing I got that was separate from that is this cube. It's an infinity cube. I think that's the technical name for it. I like doing this when I'm on the subway because it's a nice little, like it's something to do with my hands, and I can sit there on the subway and do this without thinking. It's the same design as my spinner. But I was wondering, what am I going to do with this? And then now it's like, oh, I can do all of this. And it's nice. And then the other separate thing I got was these pairs of zipper friendship bracelets. So I decided to get this because the carabiner did not come with it. I got this from PAX. But these, I had this weird idea of like giving them to people I was hanging out with at PAX, and I actually, except for this one, every one of these is with somebody that I hung out with, which I didn't think was going to happen. I was very pleasantly surprised, and they loved that idea. And it's a fidget bracelet. It's zippers. I gave the last one to Noah, and I got them a pin anyway from NYC Gamers from the Diversity Lounge, so yay. And I figured until I have another use for this, I'll keep these on there. And yeah, wearing these, like, my wrists are tiny, but if I put it over my sweater, I can play around with this, and it's really, really nice. So those are all the separated things from this pack that I got. So the pack I ordered from has 21 pieces. Some of them are multiples of the same thing, but I'll go through each one and why I might find it helpful or why someone else might find it helpful. So firstly, this one is my personal favorite because it looks like a video game controller. You can hold it like that, and button. I held this one a bit PAX because like it fits in my hand really comfortably, and I can easily do this quietly, or even start pushing the buttons. I can do this with my hand. Then there's this part. That's nice. I don't usually use that one too much. Sometimes I'll do the rolly bit down here, this back here, and then this is a clicky thing. That I would do in louder environments like, say, the expo hall in PAX. Doing that was really helpful to me. But I like that it looks like a video game controller. So, and the touchy part up here is a nice tactile thing that I really enjoy. And I can hold on to the strap and not drop it, which is nice. But this one, I think, out of all the ones in the pack, is one of my top 3 that I really enjoy using. Do I use it all the time? No, but sometimes I get bored and I need to use a different one because I need a different sort of stimulation, but this one is a good one that I like to carry around with me. My other personal favorite is this squishy ball. I think there's water beads inside, but this one is very tactile and it's very much a sensory toy, and I really like the texture of this one. It's also really funny when you squeeze it, and sometimes you get that sound. That squishy sound. I really like it. So, this is a good one for me, and it's light, it's easy to squeeze, and I can switch hands, and I really like it. I hope I'm not popping any of these. My other favorite one, it's kind of broken at the moment. I need a new zip tie for the net, but this bit is up here. But I like the little grape balls, little meshy grape balls. And here's why. Let me do it so it's like this. You squeeze it, look at how it all oozes out. And there's something about that, and then it going back in, that I find seriously satisfying. I don't know why, but I really like it. So I love playing with this one. I gotta get a new thing, but I'll fix this eventually. I'll probably play with it more, but it's still fun to squeeze, and it's all purple inside, which is neat. Then other bits I have 2 of these meshy thingies with marbles in them. On their own, I think it's like, I don't know exactly why this would be super useful, but besides it having something small in your hand that you can play with. But one thing I like to do is squish it like an accordion, and then wiggle the marble inside, and then sometimes twist it. I guess you can bite on the meshy parts. Don't bite the marble, that's gonna hurt. But doing that is kind of nice. Yeah, these are good to have, and it's not my go-to, but these are nice. So, and they're really bright and colorful, so I personally like that. These I don't use super often, but I got these little pea pod things that when you squish them, pop, and it's got a face on it, pop. I wish my camera would focus on it, then you can see the little face better, but I mean, what can you do? Let me try this. Can you focus? I like the little faces. It's so cute. But yeah, like I think that's like what it is. I get bored with these a little more easily, but they're nice to like have something that I kind of just want the. It's so cute though. And then I have 2 of these little bike chain things. At first I was wondering, what the hell am I gonna do with these? Cause like is this the only thing I can do with just this? But then I realized there's other things you can do with it too, and you can like fiddle around with how that pattern goes, so that's kind of nice, and this squishy part feels good. So, you know, these are a nice, like, subtle, quieter fidget. And that's pretty cool. I feel like I could make one of these if I had the proper, tools. I want to say ingredients, but if you want to look at these as ingredients, but they're not, because it's not food. I also have 5 of these little mochi squishies. I didn't think I would like these at all because they would get dirty really easily, but they're actually really adorable and squishy, and I don't know why squeezing them feels really, really satisfying to me, but it does. So I got a little squid, or octopus sort of thing. I got a little bear with a little tum-tum. I got this bun-bun. That's cute. Got a unicorn. Squish, squish. And a little sleepy kitty cat. Squish, 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 squish. Little calico, I think, too, because of the ears, but yeah, it's so cute. They're so adorable. These things are the ones that I've been finding in schools a lot. Like, they've been given to kids as, like, a reward, I guess, for good behavior, or, like, as a prize or something. And, yeah, that's where I first saw these, and then when I realized that they were technically fidget toys, I was like, oh. And I think now I understand why, because you can squeeze them. They're all squishy. They feel soft and nice. They don't smell so nice. Well, they don't smell terrible, but they don't smell, like, fresh and clean or whatever. I don't know. And then I got 4 of these stretchy noodle thingies. One of these was actually what I was introduced to when I did the show. The writer has 1 or 2 of these, I think, from her mother. She actually had a story of how she found out that these are actually useful for her because she was stretching them. And her mother's like, wash that off, a kid had that in their mouth or something. But they're stretchy, you can wrap them around, slink them. Usually it's best to play with 1 at a time, and that's what I usually do, but because I have them in my hands now, this is what I'm doing. Don't judge me. And the colors that they sent me were completely random, as were the mochi squishies, and I guess the color of the gamepad or something. Like, some of the stuff, it was all random that they would send. I'm happy with the ones I got. So, this is a good one if I just need to, like, or sometimes I do that. Sometimes I can tie it like this, that, link it. Sometimes I like to make it look like a pretzel because it's funny to me for some reason. Wait. It's a pretzel! But, yeah, this one, I'm wondering if this would actually be more useful for anyone else, but I like squeezing it sometimes too, and wiggle it. But, yeah, this one's a nice one to, like, take for a little bit if I need to just, like, do that. The next thing I was introduced to was this little puzzle ball thing. So, the way it works is that you have all of these different colors on the puzzle ball. For some reason, I have red twice, unless I'm colorblind, but one's supposed to be orange, one's supposed to be red. I don't know. Anyway, and then you got this blank one. So, what you do is that you mix up the balls, and the point of it afterwards is to get all of the colors back to match where they originally go. Now, I personally don't use this one a ton at home, but I think, like, it might be more fun for me if somebody else mixes these, because I like puzzles. I love puzzles, and I also love problem solving. So, this, maybe if, like, I gave it to somebody, like, alright, mix this up for me, and then they do it kind of like shuffling a Rubik's Cube, and then give it back, and then I'll find a way to solve it. This is a good thing, like, probably for the subway, for me, or, like, if I'm in a waiting area, just do that so I can focus on this. That's what I personally would do. And I guess for anybody else that really enjoys puzzles and problem solving, this would be pretty sweet. And last but not least, I have slime. I haven't opened either of these yet because I don't know if I'm personally into slime, and I also don't want to make a mess in my room right now. But I also figured that, well, if for some reason I'm not into this, I have a 3-year-old nephew who loves this sort of shit. And he would probably be very happy to take these off my hands. And I guess it's like the texture of it and like how stringy it is. Maybe I'll open one of these and show you guys what that looks like. Ah, we're getting somewhere. Hey, I did it. Alright, let's see what this does. Oh god, that's squishy. Whoa, that feels weird. It's all slimy. I guess that's the point. Shh. Guess it's not putty. It's not sticky putty or silly putty or anything like that, but it's good for squishing. That is... It's so moist. Oh, it's weird. I don't know if I like this, but I'm also intrigued. I can't stop. Maybe this is something like if I'm just sitting at home. It seems kind of bouncy and spry and stretchy. Oh, I can make prints on it. That's pretty sweet, I guess. That's neat. So I guess like slime comes in all kinds of different textures or things like that, but this one seems to be a bit more, I don't know how to describe it. It's like, it's at a consistency that it doesn't, drip so fast, but you can also, like, form it and shape it. It's, pliable, I guess is the word, right? Something like that. And I actually kind of like that it comes down pretty slowly. There's something oddly satisfying about that. Maybe that's why the motion timers are satisfying, because you see, like, this back and forth sort of thing. I'm trying to see if I can squish it and make a funny noise, but that's more like noise putty, I guess. So yeah, I don't know if I will end up keeping this, but this is interesting. I've never actually played with slime until now, so this is new to me. I gotta process this, I guess. I don't know, I just gotta test it out a little bit. But this is interesting. But, like I said, if I don't like it, I got a nephew that will. 2 nephews that probably will. One of them probably will when he's older, because he's like a baby. Can't give this to a baby. But yes, those are the fidgets that I have, and I've explained why some of them are very useful to me. Like I said, what might work for me might not work for somebody else, and everyone's got, you know, different tastes, different tactile needs, I guess, different sensory processing things. Oh, and this is a little bit of a side note, but one fun thing that is a very good tool for me is noise-canceling headphones. You can get the ones that, like, drummers and construction workers use, but these are Bluetooth headphones for music. I can just put them there, and yeah, if I have the music on, I can listen to it really easily and connect it with my phone, my laptop, everything, which kind of makes it nice because having a wire in them sometimes is a little annoying because it's another wire you gotta deal with and all that. And also, in the subway, this is good for blocking out a lot of background noise. I can still hear things like perfectly fine, but it blocks out a lot of the unnecessary noise that my brain, for some reason, wants to take in, but doesn't realize until it's too late that it's taking in way too much information, and it's like, hey, let's not do that, okay? And then other tiny little coping things. I might, like, fidget with my necklace a little bit, because, or just something, because I need something to do with my hands every once in a while. That's just me. If you want some of these for yourself, I bought a 21 pack on Amazon, and actually almost all of these I got on Amazon. I think the cube is the one place I did not go to Amazon for. I went to Ansi Labs. Those have, like, the legit ones. I know there's all kinds of fidget cubes on Amazon. Some of them are good, some of them are not. It's worth exploring and test out some stuff for yourself. If you have friends that need these, maybe get a pack that you and your friends can share or something like that. I personally keep these in like a craft organizing box, and in case I add any more, it's like, hey, if I need them, I can reach into it and grab something. Or like if my friends are visiting, it's like, hey, do you need to fidget with something? You can go ahead and grab one, just put it back, and things like that. But I hope you found this super helpful, and I hope you found this informative and educational. I don't know the science of why these things work, I just know what it does for me, and I hope what it could do for others, as I almost dropped this. And I hope that you might find this helpful, useful, and maybe somebody else could be looking into this stuff too, or I don't know. I really lost where I was going with this. And I like that I'm trying to low-key normalize these things. Like with this, I mentioned to Sean, and I think Ethan when I met them at PAX. I'm just low-key trying to normalize this because, hey, they're tools to let you live your best life, and, you know, it's not difficult to get access to, but also it's not weird if you're playing with these even if you're an adult, because some people need to. If this is necessary for you to get through your day, don't be ashamed of it. It's fine. I've played with some of this stuff openly on the subway, and it's okay. And trust me, in a place like New York City, seeing these things is not going to be the weirdest thing in the world. There are weirder things, or just more fucked up things that happen on the subways in New York City or any other major city than someone playing with fidget toys, okay? And even if you need them, like in school, if you need them in class, talk to your teacher. Just mention, like, hey, having this in my hand is actually super helpful for me, and it helps me be on better behavior, or it helps me, like, focus, and it keeps me more invested in class. Could I use this? And hopefully the other kids who don't need this shit won't ruin it for you. Which is a little harder to do in like an ICT or an IEP class, but yeah, it's when you're in a mainstream class, having shit like this is usually a little harder because they, like, teachers sometimes like see that and like don't think that you're focusing and things. And that's not always the case, but that's a whole other story. But yeah, normalize this shit. It's fine. For anybody who actually benefits from this, it's not distracting. It's actually very helpful. I wish I had some of this shit when I was a child. This would have been so much nicer. And I would have felt like a little bit more comfortable. But, you know, my old school one didn't do that for me. But anyway, I hope you guys found all of this very helpful and useful, and as always, thank you so much for tuning in. If you like this, my name is Laura, and I am Dat Aspie. If you didn't like this, I am the Dissociated System, and I'll see you all next time. Bye!